Okay. I would like to call to order the May 11th, 2020 meeting of the Muskogee Municipal Authority. Roll call, please.
Mayor Janie Boydston.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Derek Reed.
Here.
Marlon Coleman.
Here.
Ivory Van.
Here.
Jamie Stout.
Here.
Evelyn Hibbs. Evelyn Hibbs. Alex Reynolds.
Here. Here.
Stephanie Morgan.
Here.
Tracy McGee.
Here.
It sounds like we're all accounted for, so let's have item 1.
And she's not muted. At least she was.
Consider approval of Muskogee Municipal Authority minutes of April 13, 2020.
All right. Do you all have read the minutes? Do we have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve. Evelyn Hibbs, motion to approve.
Okay.
Morgan, second.
Morgan, second. Roll call.
Tracy McGee.
Yes.
Stephanie Morgan.
Yes.
Alex Reynolds.
Yes.
Evelyn Hibbs.
We can't hear Tammy.
I can't hear either.
Yeah, we can't hear.
Hold on one second. Can you hear me? This is Mike.
There was some feedback from the other IT folks, and I reported it to Michael, and I think he went down to take care of that.
Okay.
All right. Mayor, can you hear us here in the chambers?
I can hear you now.
Very good. I think we may have it squared away. I'll turn it back to Tammy.
Okay, I'll do the roll call again. Tracy McGee.
Yes.
Stephanie Morgan.
Yes.
Alex Reynolds.
Yes. Here.
Evelyn Hibbs.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
Yes.
Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Derek Reed.
Yes.
Mayor Janie Boydston.
Yes, and the motion carries. Item 2.
Consider approval of MMA claims for the month ending April 30, 2020.
All
This is Counselor Stout. I make a motion for approval.
Is there a second?
Marlon Coleman, I make the second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Tracy McGee.
Yes.
Stephanie Morgan.
Abstain.
Alex Reynolds.
Yes.
Evelyn Hibbs.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
Yes.
Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Derek Reed.
Yes.
Mayor Janie Boydston.
Yes, and the motion carries. Item 3.
Consider approval to authorize the city manager to negotiate and execute contingency agreements with the Municipal Financial Services, Inc. and the Public Finance Law Group, PLLC, for professional services related to financing street and capital improvement projects funded by the 2019 CIP tax, or take other necessary action.
Mr. Miller.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair and members of the authority. In 2019, the citizens of Muskogee passed 2 taxes that totaled half a cent. The majority of it was for new street tax as well as other capital improvements. Those proposals included provisions to borrow money to complete the projects in a timely fashion. So in anticipation of the major street projects starting this next fiscal year, we do propose borrowing the money as previously arranged. To do that, we need the assistance of bond counsel and a financial advisor. We're proposing to use a group that we have worked with many times before. The last time we borrowed money was for Hatbox Hanger. We used a different financial advisor, and we prefer to go back to the one that we've used previously based off that experience. So this agreement would allow us to work with them and prepare the documents necessary to incur the debt and get those projects done in a timely fashion. We don't incur any expense until such time as we actually do borrow the money, and to do that, we'll have to come back to the MMA to be allowed to borrow the money to do those projects. So you'll see this again, but this really just lets us get started and get those projects prepared to be done in a timely fashion. So I do recommend approval, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
All right.
I just had
Anyone
a question.
has any questions or comments?
Council McGee had a question.
I move for approval.
Wait a minute, I heard two things. Did somebody want to speak?
Yes, I was just going to make mention on the 2019 CIP. When do that start? We start collecting that?
So we have started collecting that tax in October, and so the City of Muskogee Foundation has agreed to match the money that's raised through streets. Their first matching contribution will be available on July 1, and so that's really when we're going to have a lot of money that we'll have in our account, and then we'll borrow some more to get started on those projects. So that's why we're looking at this time frame to borrow. We have been collecting it, and it's budgeted to be spent on the capital items that were approved by the citizens.
Thank you.
Okay, and I think I heard a motion.
Madam Mayor, this is Councilor Stout, and I move for approval.
All right, do we have a second?
Counselor Hibbs, I'll second.
All right, any further discussion? Roll call.
Tracy McGee,
Yes.
Stephanie Morgan,
Yes.
Alex Reynolds,
Yes.
Evelyn Hibbs,
Yes.
Jamie Stout,
Yes.
Ivory Van,
Yes.
Marlon Coleman,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Derek Reed,
Yes.
Mayor Janie Boydston.
Yes, and the motion carries. That concludes the agenda for the Muskogee Municipal Authority, so we will adjourn that meeting and call to order the meeting of the Muskogee City Council of May 11, 2020. Will you please stand for the invocation by Council Member Ivory Van, followed by the flag salute.
May we bow our heads, please. Our heavenly, most gracious Heavenly Father, we come as humble as we know how tonight, O Heavenly Father, and just thank you, Lord, for a beautiful day yesterday for all our mothers, O Heavenly God. And just, Lord, just protect us over this coronavirus, O Heavenly Father. Please let the scientists and everyone who's involved in this to come up with an antidote, O dear Lord, so to protect the people all around the world. And, O Heavenly Father, bless our council, O Heavenly Father, guide them and guide us to make the right decisions up here as councilmen, O Heavenly Father. And just the Lord, just help us through this week, O dear God. And so we ask all these blessings in your name for your sake. Amen.
Amen. Attention, salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Well, that was awkward, but I think we got it done anyway. Let's have the roll call, please.
Mayor Janie Boydston,
Here.
Deputy Mayor Derek Reed, Marlon Coleman,
Here.
Ivory Van,
Here.
Jamie Stout,
Here.
Evelyn Hibbs,
Here.
Alex Reynolds,
Here.
Stephanie Morgan,
Here.
Tracy McGee.
Here.
Okay, we're all here and accounted for. The consent agenda consists of items 1 through 3. Is there anything that anyone wants moved to the regular agenda?
Mayor Boydston, we need to approve the minutes.
Oops, sorry, I missed that. Okay, you all have had a chance to read the minutes of the special call session of April 20 and the regular session of April 27, 2020. Do we have a motion?
This is Counselor Hibbs. I make a motion.
To approve the
Counselor
both
Stout.
minutes? Yes. Okay.
And this is Counselor Stout, and I second.
All right, any discussion? Roll call.
Tracy McGee,
Yes.
Stephanie Morgan,
Yes.
Alex Reynolds,
Yes.
Evelyn Hibbs,
Yes.
Jamie Stout,
Yes.
Ivory Van,
Yes.
Marlon Coleman,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Derek Reed,
Yes.
Mayor Janie Boydston.
Yes, and the motion carried. And then we will talk about the consent agenda, which is items 1 through 3. Did anyone want any of those moved to the regular agenda? If not, can we have a motion?
Stout, I move to approval of the
Counselor Coleman, I second.
Okay, any discussion? Roll call.
Tracy McGee,
Yes.
Stephanie Morgan,
Yes.
Alex Reynolds,
Yes.
Evelyn Hibbs,
Yes.
Jamie Stout,
Yes.
Ivory Van,
Yes.
Marlon Coleman,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Derek Reed,
Yes.
Mayor Janie Boydston.
Yes, and the motion carries. Item 4.
Receive report on the COVID-19 pandemic in Muskogee, and if necessary, take appropriate action to authorize and approve a subsequent amendment to Resolution Number 2801, declaring a local emergency, or City-County Joint Resolution Number 2803.
Mr. Miller.
Yes, Madam Mayor and members of the council, have our emergency manager, Tyler Evans, is here, and I'd like to ask him to come and give us a brief update. He'll also introduce some guests that have an update, and then I will have some further information when they are done.
Good afternoon, Ms. Mayor, members of council. I'd like to introduce Mr. Doug Walton. I'd like to introduce Mr. Doug Walton from the Muskogee County Health Department to give us an update concerning Muskogee County. Mr. Walton?
Yes, can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
I hear you.
Okay, well, I'm going to proceed until someone tells me otherwise, I guess. As of today, the state of Oklahoma has had 4,613 confirmed cases, with 3,241 of those that have recovered, and 274 fatalities. Muskogee County, including all municipalities, has had 29 total confirmed cases, 20 of whom have recovered, with 6 fatalities of Muskogee County residents. And the city of Muskogee has had 15 residents to date with confirmed cases. 9 have recovered and 4 have died, unfortunately. One thing I've been reporting back to our group of emergency managers who speak several times a week, been also looking at neighboring counties, basically counties that are adjacent to Muskogee County. 5 of those are actually within our same region of the State Department of Health, and one of them isn't, and that would actually be Wagner County. And basically just looking at the past week, Wagner County has had 122 confirmed cases 1 week ago on the 4th of May, and today has 129 cases with, there had been 15 fatalities a week ago and then 17 to date as of this morning. So that was an increase of 7 cases over the last week. Cherokee County, 27 cases with 1 fatality a week ago. Today, 30 cases with still only 1 fatality. Sequoia County, Sallisaw, 12 cases with 3 fatalities, and now a week later, 14 cases with 3 still. And then Haskell County hasn't changed in the last week. Only 5 reported cases with no fatalities. McIntosh, 3 cases a week ago, and now 5 cases with still no fatalities yet. And then Okmulgee County has remained the same at 16 confirmed cases for the past week with no fatalities to date. In terms of testing through today, through the Muskogee County Health Department, we've collected 370 samples for testing, still with only 3 positive results through our labs, and only one of those was a Muskogee County resident. We still are conducting testing every day, scheduling really anywhere between 8 to 15 or 16 tests per day as our test kits are available. We have 11 scheduled for tomorrow, have 6 test kits on hand currently, and are expecting about 50 more tomorrow. And then really just the reminders, the normal reminders that we really want to stress as we continue looking at opening up and recovering safely, just to remind everyone to maintain distance of at least 6 feet from others whenever away from home, to wash your hands frequently, especially before and after eating or touching your face. Limit your time away from home, especially if you're over 65 or have any underlying health conditions. Wear a face covering whenever in public to protect each other, and then to stay at home if you're sick, and to please call 911 if you need immediate medical attention. And that's really all I have to report.
Thank you very much.
Ms. Mayor, I'd like to introduce Trish German with Muskogee County EMS at this time.
Okay.
Good evening, Ms. Mayor. Can you hear me? Can she hear me?
I think so. Go ahead.
So Muskogee County EMS this week, our call volume has increased a little bit. It's definitely not up to normal, but our emergency status calls have increased. So people are out there realizing, hey, if I've got an emergency, I need to call 911. Transfers are still down a little bit, so we'll probably start seeing an increase in those eventually on getting people to and from the hospital and just transfers back home to other hospitals. And business hopefully will get back to normal. On a positive note, it's National Police Week, so could everybody hopefully reach out to your local police department, city, county officers, federal officers. They're doing such a great job, so they really need that recognition. And another thing, it's also National Nursing Home Week. Our nursing homes have done a great job by shutting them down, not letting anybody in. So that has that's a big reason why our numbers aren't as increased as a lot of counties out there, is because our nursing homes have done such a great job and stuff. So that's really all I have to say tonight. Does anybody have any questions from me?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, this council member, may I be recognized?
Yes, go right ahead.
I was just curious, if you pick someone up that does have the virus here in Muskogee and go to St. Francis, can they be transferred to Tulsa?
They can be transferred to Tulsa if that's what St. Francis has decided to do. If they can't take care of them in that hospital and they might need an elevated level of care, they will be transported to another hospital, possibly to Tulsa or even further away. It just depends on what's available and what kind of procedure or something they need.
I was just curious about that. Okay. I was asked that question, so I just want to make sure that I got the answer tonight. If I got it, I could go straight to Tulsa instead of having to go to St. Francis here.
Yeah, definitely. You can talk with the medics that pick you up if you decide you want to go to the hospital and decide what hospital is best for you at that time.
Okay.
So definitely. Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor, I recognize, I was going to ask Mr. Walton a question, quick question.
All right.
You still there, Doug?
Yes, sir, I am.
On these nursing homes, you know, I told you last week, I was glad to hear you that you went around testing the nursing homes. How's that going?
Well, it's actually going slower than it was when I spoke to you last week, unfortunately. Back to the limited availability of the test kits, the state actually made a decision to switch from collecting saliva samples for the nursing home testing to collecting the nasal swabs, which unfortunately are in shorter supply, but apparently are more accurate. And so they've actually, the state has suspended testing of nursing homes for at least the next 2 to 3 days, both while they wait on more test kits to become available, as well as for the labs to get caught up on all of the testing that they had underway already.
So if we have an
plan
outbreak,
to continue.
if we have an outbreak right now of 100 people, Muskogee, Oklahoma will be in trouble, correct? Because we don't have enough testing kits. If we had an outbreak of 100...
I'm sorry, could you repeat the first part again? I'm sorry.
If we had an outbreak right now of 100 people that's got this virus, we don't have 100 test kits to do it, correct? We'd be in trouble. Correct?
Well, it is true that we don't have 100 test kits on hand, and you're right, we would sure like to have more of them. But at the same time, that's only through the Muskogee County Health Department. You know, St. Francis has their own testing capacity and are able to test, to collect samples and to run tests through their own labs. And so if we actually had people presenting with, the illness and needing hospital care, they would actually be able to be tested.
What I'm saying is, sir, if we got 100 people here in Muskogee, Oklahoma right now, we would be in trouble because we do not have test kits, correct? Right now. I'm talking about right now, Doug.
Right now, you are correct that we do not have 100 test kits at the Muskogee County Health Department, where we are doing curbside testing for people that have had a symptom or who have had contact with someone who's had a symptom or really just want to be tested. If they're sick and needing medical care, then they would be more likely to be at their medical provider or at the hospital, where they do actually have more testing available, not through the county health department.
How many would you say that the hospital they got more of?
Ooh, I am sorry that I can't answer that. I just don't know.
Well, I see it here, but listen, saying what you said just a while ago and what I said, we definitely would be in trouble. The problem is here in Muskogee, Oklahoma, just thank God, I hope it's not an outbreak, that we don't have an outbreak, where we won't have to have these tests, because we don't have the test here is what I'm trying to make a point. We do not have a test here, but we letting people run around and do this and do that, and open this and open that. But we do not have a test, all the tests here in Muskogee, Oklahoma, if we do have an outbreak. Would you agree with what I'm saying, sir?
That we don't have as many tests as we would like, that's for sure. I agree with that.
Appreciate it. I'll turn the floor back over to you, Mr. Mayor.
All right, where are we?
Mayor Boyston, this is Marlon. I have a quick question for Doug, if that's okay.
Okay, go right ahead.
Doug, this is Marlon. I'm curious. Can you tell us a little bit about what private testing options are available for residents? So, let's say if they decide not to wait for the availability from the health department, what private options do they have if they want to pay out of pocket or use their own insurance?
Sure. There definitely are, a number of other labs that provide the testing through different clinics and medical providers, urgent care, and others. I think in Oklahoma there are upwards of 15 different labs that do that. The prices range. It depends on one's insurance. The turnaround time also varies. But probably I can best answer you by just saying yes. People have other options besides going through the county health department if they have a medical provider or end up in the hospital. There are other ways that they can be tested.
And Doug, if you can do this, I'm not certain if it's you or someone else within the health department. It would be helpful for us probably to have a list of those providers available at some point, because sometimes we do get questions about what people can do about testing. And I think it would help if we had something listed somewhere that showed where they can actually go to get those tests if they're willing to use their insurance or pay out of pocket. So if somebody could do that, I think that would be good.
Okay, great.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Evans, are you ready to take the helm again?
Ms. Mayor, yes, I am. As Doug stated earlier, and Trish, we're closely watching the numbers and conversing with our partners in the field, such as the Muskogee County Health Department, St. Francis, and the Muskogee EMS. Like I said, we continue to get the updates every morning from Muskogee County Health Department detailing the number of positive cases in our county. The number of positive cases in our city is also available on the coronavirus website, so we continue to watch that every day. That concludes my update. I'd like to turn the floor over back to Mr. Miller.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Madam Mayor, there's just a few things I want to add. That as we look at our plans, the staff does not have any proposed amendments to the resolutions that the council's previously adopted. Governor Stitt says that we're on track for Phase 2 on May 15th. And so what that means is that bars would open with limited capacity and social distancing. Restaurant dining rooms could have again, be open with social distancing. Organized sports could begin, weddings and funerals, and we would suggest following the CDC guidelines for Phase 2, which is no gatherings of more than 50 people. So that's what Phase 2 looks like, and that's what our current resolution that you've adopted allows for. We do with that in mind, mitigation plans for all businesses, whether they're essential or non-essential, under that, what we talked about a month ago when there was all that discussion. Every business that's open needs to have a mitigation plan on file with the city of Muskogee, and they need to be following that. And we encourage every business to do that. If there are people that aren't following their plans, that's a problem. We're not all the way open. We're open with conditions right now. And that's what the governor has outlined, and that's what we've adopted. So people need to be following those conditions so that we don't see a spike. We know that we're not out of the woods with this disease. We know it hasn't gone away, but we're trying to adapt as best we can. And adapting doesn't mean act like it's not here anymore. It means follow the business mitigation plans, follow your personal responsibility and the sanitation and the hand washing and all the things that Doug's talked about. And those are all still very important. And so that's where we're at, and that's what we wanted to just bring up and let you guys discuss further if you would, or if you need to. But that's our present status as we look towards May 15th as the next trigger date that the governor has put in place and that we have adopted through the council resolutions to follow.
Mr.
That
Miller,
sounds
I'm sorry, Mayor, go ahead. This is Marlon. I was going to ask a couple of questions.
Go right ahead.
Mr. Miller, those places that do not have their mitigation plans in place yet, is there a way that we can find out which ones they are, since we're rapidly moving into the next phase?
So we have a list. We're trying to keep it updated on our website. And we, those mitigation plans come in every day. I'm expecting another one tomorrow from somebody that's told me they're having a meeting tonight and they're going to finalize it and they're going to send me one tomorrow. So people are still getting those in. We're trying to keep those updated. We do have a list. It is a kind of an organic document, a growing, living thing that we, just because you're not on the website today doesn't mean you haven't turned one in. We're just going to try and keep those updated. So one of the things that we're doing is we've got two different sort of things in place. One is when we notice or think of or people point out a company that doesn't have a mitigation plan, we speak to them about making sure they have one and try and encourage that as quickly as possible. And then two, we have a program to proactively monitor businesses to make sure that if they have submitted one, that they are following it. And obviously, we do have an email address, compliance at muscogeeonline.org, for people if they feel like there's a business that's not following their mitigation plan or doesn't have one. And the idea is that the council's put some regulations in place, and it's our job to make sure those regulations are being followed regarding the social distancing and the guidelines for being open. Again, we're not open like it was like we were in December before Christmas. We're open in a different way right now, and so we hope that we'll be able to be that way as we were in the past sometime soon. But that's not now. So we do have those things in place to try and keep our community safe.
I was curious about that because everywhere around the country where there was an outbreak, it was either holiday or event related. And since this was Mother's Day weekend, I know that many people are going to be inclined to get back to normal as soon as possible. And I just wanted to be sure that we had a way to help them to do that and be safe through those mitigation plans. So thank you.
Yes, sir. I think thanks to our task force and Mr. Tucker and Ms. Callahan, we have a mitigation plan strategy in our city way before anyone else did. I mean, we adopted that very early on in our first joint resolution to have mitigation plans be in place, and that puts us ahead of the curve as far as municipalities go. So I want to thank the task force and the council, and again, Mr. Tucker and Ms. Callahan, for not only putting that in place but then implementing it. And so I think that's been very helpful.
I had a question. Can you repeat that, it's Councilman Gee, the MuskogeeOnline.gov, is that where someone will call in if they had a complaint or see people not applying?
An email that the people can use if they would like to, if they think that there's a business not complying and not having the public health at the foremost, is compliance, the word compliance.
Compliance, okay.
At Muskogee Online.
Compliance at Muskogee Online.
Yes. So we want everyone to comply, and we have an email for compliance.
Okay.
Madam Mayor, this is Councilman Mayor. May I be recognized?
Yes, go ahead.
Yesterday was a beautiful day. It was Mother's Day. But when you drive around the city after we done opened up these restaurants, and you go in these restaurants and you look around, like right up here right now, the rest of the councilmen are at home. It's only two councilmen sitting up here, me and Councilman McGee, because you want to go by the 6-foot rule. And that's good. But when you go in these restaurants yesterday, there wasn't no 6-foot rule. When you go into all you can eat places and you're using the same utensil with your hands that another person uses to dip the food, that's totally out of line. When you go into places where they're coughing, no mask, you can't really wear a mask when you eat. But when you're coughing in the place like it's nothing, that's no rule. So those are things that I noticed on Mother's Day, even though I didn't eat out on Mother's Day, but I got some calls. And they asked me would I go by certain places, and I did. And that's what I found, and that's not right. A lot of these businesses, they open up and they're still not going by the rules. This coronavirus is serious. This is no joke. So that's my report, what I did yesterday, along with enjoying Mother's Day. But I just had to get out and see myself. I'll turn the floor back over to you, Ms. Mayor.
Thank you very much. Mr. Miller, is there more to this report? And are we just receiving the report, or do we need to do something?
Madam Mayor, I have one quick question. This is Councilor Stout.
Oh, go right ahead.
Mr. Miller, what is the plan for social distancing out of the ball fields? I know we're not going to have the kids in the dugout when games start next week.
So, Councilor Stout, that's a very good question. I have, from our Parks Department, I have two people online, Mark Wilkerson and Brooke Hall, and I would like for them to address that, and they're standing by ready to do that. Michael, do we have Mark and Brooke available? We're working through our technical difficulties, but yes, we'll get that question answered for you.
They're up.
Okay, Mr. Miller, can you hear us now?
Yes, Mark, please go ahead.
I'd like to introduce Brooke Hall, the Assistant Director in Recreation, to talk about the Recreation startup.
We have a plan for reopening. We've turned in our mitigation plan, discussed it as a staff. We did, after announcing the start of the baseball season, that we would start practices. So currently, we have implemented and are allowing practice on the fields with social distancing. We will not start games until June 1st. And so our hope is that we'll get through phase 2 beginning May 15th and evaluate the distancing needs, spreading out the spectators, things that we need to implement to be able to operate safely.
All right. Does that answer your question, Councilor Stout?
Yes, thank you, Brooke.
Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Miller, is there more?
There's no action needed from the staff perspective. If the council's done with discussion, there's no action needed.
Okay.
Okay. Does anyone want to say anything else about this matter?
Yes, Madam Mayor. This Councilman Harvey Van. Can I be recognized?
I heard two voices.
Go ahead, Councilman Coleman. I heard you.
I just had a quick question. How I understand that we're going to have a plan for social distancing on the fields. How do we factor in employee safety into that plan to be certain that they're not caught up in the mix between doing what they need to do on their job and do social distancing so that we can keep them safe as well?
The staffing concerns will be associated with concession operations, so we'll be reviewing those. We'll certainly be implementing any safety measures. We can do screenings of the staff, temperature checks, still wear masks. On the field, we'll just have our umpires that will be in place, and they can maintain their distance while on the field.
Thank you. Mr. Miller, can we as a council get copies of that, please, when those plans are submitted and finalized?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, this is Councilman Harvey Van. May I be recognized?
Yes, go ahead.
I want to commend the Martin Luther King Center for closing their activities for this summer, because I think that was the only and the right thing to do, to get the kids, keep those kids safe. I drive by Hatbox, and I look at things over there, and I've seen the kids over there. We talk a good game up here, but when we get out there in the real world, in the field, where we look around and really see how people do things, that's when your eyes wake up. That's when you wake up. And when I was driving around the other day and I seen the kids real close together, about like I'm in my monitor right now, that wasn't social distancing. And that was practicing. Or they was doing something, they was all huddled up together. So I think, just like those kids, they can get the virus as well. And all those kids being out there, they get the virus. And another thing is, as you already heard in the first part of this meeting, we don't have enough tests. So, like I say, I don't mean to be mean or anything like that. A lot of people take it that way because I say something up here. But it's just all about safety and people's health and trying to take care of these kids and adults. I don't think the kids should be out there on the field because, like I say, what I seen the other day, there's no social distancing. You know, you don't have to believe me. Get in your cars and drive yourself when they're out there playing or practicing. I'll turn the floor back over to you, Ms. Mayor.
Thank you very much. Does anyone else have anything to say on this subject? If not, let's go to item 5.
Consider approval of the submission of a request for public assistance from the State of Oklahoma Department of Emergency Management for funds provided to states for damages resulting from COVID-19 or take other necessary action.
Mr. Evans.
Yes, Ms. Mayor. This is a state-local agreement that must be signed for local jurisdictions to receive reimbursement funds from the state. In federally declared disasters, the state is the recipient of the reimbursement funds, and we're known as the subrecipient. So the funds get passed from FEMA to the state and then on to us. This agreement is saying that we are aware of the 25% cost share. That is our requirement, and it also outlines other requirements such as keeping record of the expenditures, complying with EPA regulations, and it gives the timelines for completing the FEMA projects and other requirements that we are aware of and that we meet. This is nothing new. It comes with every declared disaster that we would be receiving reimbursement on.
Okay. But we sure want to get our part of whatever there is.
Yes, ma'am.
So do we have a motion?
Councilor Coleman, I move for approval.
This is Counselor Stout. I second.
All right, any discussion? Roll call.
Tracy McGee.
Yes.
Stephanie Morgan.
Yes.
Alex Reynolds.
Yes.
Evelyn Hibbs.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
Yes.
Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Derek Reed.
Yes.
Mayor Janie Boydston.
Yes, and the motion carries. Item 6.
Consider approval of Amendment 1 to the 2020 State of Oklahoma Emergency Management Performance Grant or take other necessary action.
Mr. Evans again.
Yes, Ms. Mayor. The EMPG, or Emergency Management Performance Grant, is a $25,000 grant that we receive yearly that helps supplement the Emergency Management Department. Because this is a performance-based grant, there are certain requirements that must be met both quarterly and yearly. Some of these requirements were attending quarterly meetings with our emergency management directors, conducting 2 planned local jurisdiction exercises, a full-scale exercise, and attending the annual training conference. But due to COVID-19, they're foregoing most of those requirements since it required most of your emergency management directors to be in one place at one time. So they've amended the contract to just require some online training, an emergency operations plan update, which, as you recall, we did a couple of months ago, and a COVID-19 after action report, which we will do regardless. So this EMPG grant has already went through council, has been approved last year. They simply amended the contract to relieve some of those requirements, such as the training and the annual conferences, and replace it with the after action report and some online training. Are there any questions for me?
I guess we need a motion to approve.
This Councilman Ivory Van, I'll make a
Madam
motion
Mayor,
to
this
approve.
is... Go ahead.
This Councilman Ivory Van, I'll make a motion to approve.
This is Counselor Stout. I second.
All right, any discussion? Roll call.
Tracy McGee.
Yes.
Stephanie Morgan.
Yes.
Alex Reynolds.
Yes.
Evelyn Hibbs.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
Yes.
Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Derek Reed.
Yes.
Mayor Janie Boydston.
Yes, and the motion carries. And I would like to say that I personally appreciate Tyler Evans and all the extra work he's had to look after lately. I think he's doing a great job. Thank you very much. And we will go to item 7.
Consider approval of receiving funds for the Muskogee Police Department pursuant to a grant from the Bureau of Justice Assistance fiscal year 20 under the Coronavirus Emergency Supplemental Funding Program in the amount of $115,472, or take other necessary action.
Mr. Teehee.
Yes, Madam Mayor, members of the council. This is some money or grant process that actually moved pretty quick. If you remember, just 2 weeks ago, you approved us to apply for it. And it just took a few days where they actually approved us for $115,000. Now we're here to have the council to accept that so that the next item we can spend some of that.
I can't imagine we would not accept it, but we need a motion.
Councilman Hibbs, I can make a motion.
Because Councilor Stout, I second.
All right, any discussion? Roll call.
Tracy McGee.
Yes.
Stephanie Morgan.
Yes.
Alex Reynolds.
Yes.
Evelyn Hibbs.
Yes.
Jamie Stout. Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
Yes.
Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Derek Reed.
Yes.
Mayor Janie Boydston.
Yes, and the motion carries. Item 8.
Consider approval to purchase a Gatekeeper Western shelter and accompanying equipment for use by the Muskogee Police Department off of the GSA purchasing contract in the amount of $58,953.93, or take other necessary action.
Mr. Teehee again.
Yes, Madam Mayor and members of the council. This is the first item that, if you remember, or if anybody went out by the hospital and seen the big tent that was set up, has heat and air, has a floor. Basically, it can be a portable outpost. We've had them set up when we had to borrow in the past from the EMS. That's what this is. It's a sole source bid through government contract, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Okay. Any questions, comments, motions?
Mr. T, are you saying that's a shelter, temporary shelter, so to speak?
It can be used as a lot of different things, and that's kind of what the, that would be good for it. It could be used as a temporary command post.
Okay.
It literally has heat and air, walls. One of the other things we talked about as far as when we had an officer that tested positive for the COVID, we'd actually be able to set this up and actually house people over a period of time if we needed to as well. So it's a multi-purpose facility that we'd be able to use for.
Okay.
And it comes in containers. All the containers are put together. It's actually, you have to go to a class just to learn to put it up. Okay. EMS has a trailer with theirs, but we've got a trailer available already. So ours would just be the contents and the packaging and, of course, the training to be able to utilize it.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor, this is Councilor Stout. I move for approval.
All right, is there a second?
I second it.
All
Councilman McGee?
This other discussion? Roll call.
Tracy McGee.
Yes.
Stephanie Morgan.
Yes.
Alex Reynolds.
Yes.
Evelyn Hibbs.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
Yes.
Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Derek Reed.
Yes.
Mayor Janie Boydston.
Yes, and the motion carries.
Thank you.
Item 9.
Consider approval for matching grant funds for the Roxy Theater Community Trust totaling $10,000, or take other necessary action.
Mr. Miller.
Yes, thank you, Ms. Mayor. The Roxy Trust has submitted this request. They met last week and approved the request. The Roxy Theater is a participant in our matching grant fund, and they've submitted the invoice for $10,000. Staff recommends approval. Councilor Stout, I believe, also serves on the trust board. She may have something she may want to add as well. Otherwise, we recommend approval.
Yeah. Madam Mayor, may I have the floor? This is Councilor.
Go right ahead.
Yeah. These
Yes.
are from our 2 donations for the sponsorships for the Oklahoma Movie Hall of Fame that was to take place in May, and we have are working on our rescheduled date for July, and we look forward to hosting that event. And so I would make a motion that we move for approval.
All right, is there a second?
This is Councilor Hibbs. I second.
All right, any discussion? Roll call.
Tracy McGee.
Yes.
Stephanie Morgan.
Yes.
Alex Reynolds.
Yes.
Evelyn Hibbs.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
Yes.
Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Derek Reed. Mayor Janie Boydston.
Yes, and the motion carries. That concludes our agenda. I understand we've had one citizen sign up to speak tonight, Mr. Ivory Van.
Yes, Madam Mayor. Ivory Van, 4338 Columbus Street, Muskogee, Oklahoma.
All right.
74401.
All right. You
that is
will
my
have
residence.
3 minutes. Go right ahead.
All right. I brought this item on the agenda about 2 or 3 weeks ago about having security up here for these public works meetings, the city council, what we're in right now. And I got a no vote from 6 council people. And I don't know if they realize how important it is to have security up here, but I think it would be real important to have security up here. I'm not trying to get another vote out of them anymore, but I was kind of really took me off guard when somebody asked me, well, ain't nothing happened over all these years. What do you think gonna happen? Well, nothing happened at the Merrill Farrell building either. And that building got blown up. 9/11, we had a disaster. Nobody was expecting anything to happen. What I would like to see done up here, and please, I hope I'm talking as nice as I can up here, because sometimes when I'm talking, people think I'm talking mean. I don't mean you talking mean. I'm just trying to prove a point. I would like to have, if Chief Teehee didn't mind, is sometimes when he's sitting there and he don't have to make a presentation, would he just kind of walk around downstairs and look, downstairs and see if anybody's down there prowling around? That's all I ask, to see some movement. Because, by him sitting there where he's sitting right now, somebody could come through that door on us. Somebody could be in this building right now on us. That's all I'm asking, is for some type of security, up here. And Chief Teehee is he's here, he's the chief of police, and I'm pretty sure he knows his job. And I don't think that's asking too much, because I'm telling you, when you go to other cities, it is so much different than Muskogee, Oklahoma. They have security. And security is here for a reason. This day and time, we need something like this up here at City Council and Public Works. Because people losing their jobs and everything, and these are hard times for people. And you never know what's going through a person's mind. And I don't mean no harm to Chief T or anything, but I just like to see you, sir, if you would every now and then go downstairs and look around. That's all. Stand at the back door, let us know something, because like I said, I don't want nothing to happen to us up here. So we all want to go home, safe and sound. Everybody up here does. So I thought I'd bring that to your attention again tonight. And if I have to do it every other council meeting, every other public works, I'm going to do it. Because that, to me, is very important. If we do have a national league of cities this year, and we get to go, and some other councilmen go to it, I would like them to go to look at other cities and see how their security is set up. Matter of fact, we can just set up a time to go to Tulsa, Oklahoma, and see how their security is set up when they have their council meeting. They're doing it by phone right now, but it's nothing like this. So that's all I have to say tonight, but I just hope everybody takes that into mind. I hope nothing ever happens up here. We definitely need security. I'm sorry, I don't have to turn the floor back over to you, Mr. Mayor, but I'm finished. And you have a wonderful, wonderful week.
Thank you, and I would like to make a couple of statements. I want everybody to be safe, and I appreciate the businesses that have gone to such lengths to follow their mitigation plans. We see it in action, and it's new to all of us, and it's hard to get used to. It's expensive, And I really do appreciate the efforts that have gone into it, and I think we need to commend them. I also want to mention again that this is Police Week, and we are especially proud. Thank you very much. Okay, we are adjourned.